Good morning, and welcome back to the Hat and Beard Show. It's been a little over, a week, pushing a week and a half at this point since we've uploaded after, we got a little too high on our own farts heading into the NFC Championship game, and the Washington Commies did the unthinkable, and they really took it to us in our own house. So now the Lions are in full swing of the off season. And as was expected, we've had some coaching changes. Both of our top coordinators, Aaron Glenn was named the head coach of the New York Jets, which anybody with a pulse seen that coming about a mile away. I don't necessarily disagree with that hiring. I think it was expected. I think the fit is there. I don't know, though, if Aaron Glenn will be able to succeed as a head coach, especially in that big New York media market where they have there's a lot of problems that Aaron Glenn's going to need to fix in that locker room. Also, then it was announced Monday, the Monday after the Lions lost to the Commies in the divisional round. It was announced that Benedict Arnold Johnson would become the next head coach of the Chicago Bears because he loves him some Caleb Williams. And I feel the exact opposite way that I feel about Aaron Glenn, I feel about Benedict Arnold Johnson. He's no longer, will his name be spoken in high regards around here. I mean, good for him for getting $75 million from the Chicago Bears, but, dude, you had to go to a divisional round opponent. I mean, seriously, you couldn't have gone to the Pats. You couldn't have gone to the Raiders. I was really kind of looking forward to being a Raiders fan and rooting for all the success of Ben Johnson to take it to Patrick Mahomes twice a year. Obviously, after Vrabel was announced as the Patriots head coach, we knew that was out of the running. I just really didn't think that of all the teams, he was going to go to Chicago. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a little bit older news from a couple days ago. The Lions have named the new defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, and we have an article pulled up on that. I'm actually very, very excited about that hiring. That is the guy that I had pegged to replace Aaron Glenn from the moment his name started really being on the short list for head coaches. And then we also have a lead candidate that we will be discussing. I have a nice little article here. Obviously, this is going to be an outside hire, and that's not necessarily something that I would have liked to have seen. However, my top candidate to replace Ben Johnson ended up following Ben Johnson to Chicago, that being Antoine Randall L. The human side of me is like good on these guys on getting opportunities, but the reality is Antoine Randall L. and Ben Johnson and JT Barrett, who went from our assistant quarterbacks coach to a quarterbacks coach for the Chicago Bears. They're getting their opportunities, but you had to go to Chicago. I mean, seriously, the Bears. How gross are you? How limp is your spine? I mean, seriously, there are 4 teams in the division, 3 teams not counting ourselves. That is 28 other teams in the NFL. You couldn't take any other job. Chicago's a dumpster fire, man, but that's neither here nor there. Pardon me, protein shake burps. But today, guys, we will be discussing Kelvin Sheppard. I got a little article here from the Pride of Detroit, as well as the lead candidate to replace Benedict Arnold Johnson as the Lions' new offensive coordinator. So if you guys are ready and you appreciate what we do here, and thanks for sticking with me through the hiatus, we also no longer will be using OBS because I can't seem to make that function on the hardware that I have available to me. And hopefully we cleaned up some audio issues. I went and got myself a new mic, so hopefully this sounds better. Let me know down below, you longtime listeners, if this sounds better to you. So if you like what we do here, go go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell so that you never miss out on any uploads here. Today we'll just be doing a one video upload because I had to finish off some tech issues, and then I got a little bit of running around to do, and today's the last day of a 4-day weekend. I'd like to enjoy it a little bit. It's a little bit warmer out here than it has been the past couple days. Hit like if you already enjoy what we're doing here, or wait till the end of the video and smash like then. Comment down below what you guys think about just everything in general. The new microphone. Do you like the hiring of our new defensive coordinator? Who did you want to see take his place? As well as same questions apply to offense. Go ahead and comment down below. You know, it helps the channel out a little bit to show the engagement. And I like talking with you guys. As well as if you're really feeling froggy, go ahead and share this video around with all of your friends. It really helps the algorithm out a lot. So like, comment, subscribe, share. Let's get into it, fellas.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
This coming to us from the prideofdetroit.com. I'm not able to screen record, so hopefully the pictures will suffice, guys. Report, Lions promote Kelvin Sheppard to defensive coordinator. The Lions have their new defensive coordinator, former linebackers coach, Kelvin Sheppard, and he is exactly who I wanted us to hire as our defensive coordinator. The dude's got it. He's got the it factor, in my opinion. Who wrote this here? So Eric Schlitt. Thank you, Eric Schlitt. The Detroit Lions have reportedly filled one of their coordinator vacancies. NFL Network reports the team plans to promote linebackers coach Kelvin Sheppard to defensive coordinator. Sheppard will replace Aaron Glenn, who was hired by the New York Jets as their next head coach. This is a quote here. We have, having Shep with me, he's been there from the beginning, and he knows exactly how I think. Exactly. Hopefully that's not the case, because Aaron Glenn, not necessarily the best defensive coordinator in the game, especially when his defense is ravaged by injuries. Finish the quote, and that's a guy I've actually been mentoring to be a DC role at some point. I think he's damn near close, if not there, to be ready to do that. He's a damn good coach. Now, that is some pretty good, well-spoken words from Aaron Glenn. He is a former first-round pick player in this league. He played a long time, had a good, flourishing career, and then went on to be a relatively successful coordinator his first couple of years as a defensive backs coach, and then became a hot name candidate as a defensive coordinator here in Detroit, and ended up being a head coach. So that's about as high of praise as you can get from, you know, the guy whose job you're now taking over, right? As he wrote in our 10 opinion cover, or 10 options to replace Aaron Glenn, Sheppard was considered the front runner for the position, having been on Dan Campbell's staff since the beginning of his tenure, and quickly taking on new coaching and organizational responsibilities. He's a leader. He's a leader of men. Sheppard, who played linebacker in the NFL for 8 seasons, brings a high level of experience and intelligence to the Lions' defensive staff. With a no-nonsense approach to coaching that rewards players for how they produce on the field, Sheppard has earned the trust of both players and coaches over the past 2 years. Think back to Hard Knocks when, you know, Rodrigo was in his rookie year, and Shep is sitting there and he's begging the players, begging his vets to step it up, saying, I don't want to play Rodrigo. I don't want to do this. I want to play you veterans. But Rodrigo's out there producing. He's out there putting it on film. He's out there making plays on the field, right? So he rewards good play with, you know, the opportunity to succeed. The Lions' previous defensive scheme demanded a lot of their linebackers, including understanding all aspects of the defensive scheme / play calls, as well as making necessary adjustments on the field. That's why having Alex Anzalone was such a benefit to have him back week 18. We thought it was going to be incredibly beneficial in the playoffs. And it was to an extent. I don't blame Anzalone at all. I blame our lack of pass rush. As far as the NFC Championship game is concerned, we were doomed the minute Meek Robertson's arm got snapped in half. In my opinion, all of the injuries that we have had all season long, there was one that could have changed the outcome of that game. There was one individual in the entire organization that could have changed the outcome of the divisional round game, and it shows just how important the individual is. I've been praising him since we've drafted him, and that is Aiden Hutchinson. If the Lions had Aiden Hutchinson, he is a game wrecker. He is a mayhem maniac. He is the Michigan Mayhem man himself. He is the only guy that could have covered up the shortcomings of our secondary. He obviously, just with the sacks that he had in his first few games, but the pressure that he generates, the fact that he can disrupt an entire offensive scheme every single play. So, but back to the point of being is that Alex Anzalone, having him back, it was such a big boost for us because he was like a quarterback on the field. Jack Campbell did a good job filling in, but Alex Anzalone has a deeper understanding of the game and a richer understanding of the scheme, the plan, and what we were trying to execute. Back to the article. They are required to work as unison with the defensive line and secondary, and Sheppard has done a masterful job of making sure his linebackers are fully prepared to embrace these challenges that he has. Our linebacking room actually not so bad. If you look at the players that he has and what he's been able to do with them, obviously Alex Anzalone is one of the heartbeats on our defense, the captain, the green dot. Action Jack Campbell has taken steps every single year to be better and better. Next year, I expect cusp of all-pro type season out of Action Jack Campbell. And if Rodrigo and Derek Barnes can come back healthy, those two guys are going to really slug it out, and having both of them on roster will be a benefit to us. I do expect us to cut ties with Jeremy Reeves-Maben, simply because he is just unfortunately not a young man anymore, right? And his play has taken a step back from last year. Back to the article. At his end-of-season press conference, Dan Campbell noted that he wants to be able to keep the team's core principles in place, something Sheppard will firmly be able to do. Quote, "I don't see the philosophy changing," Campbell noted. "I think that we are what we are, and we've always been that way since we've been here. So does that mean a couple of things get tweaked? A couple of things will get tweaked. Just the nature of the coordinators. I want them to play man coverage. We want to play man coverage. I'm going to pressure a little bit. So there's things that are not going to get in the way. We are what we are, and I am what I am, and we are Popeye. The hiring of Sheppard has been confirmed by multiple sources for the Lions. I love the Kelvin Sheppard signing. Obviously next year will be a little bit different. There'll be different pieces and places. I've seen some rumors that DJ Reader might get the axe. I don't think that's a wise decision. I've also seen possibility of Zadarius Smith getting the axe, and I also don't think that that's a wise decision. But there will be some different players in some different spots for us, and there will be different tools for Kelvin Sheppard to be able to play with. So expect, 2-3 years of Kelvin Sheppard figuring it out, and then ideally in his third, fourth year have a all-world style defense. If Hutch comes back and is strong, healthy, if McNeil comes back strong and healthy, Amik Robertson, Carlton Davis. We already have 2 all-world safeties. We have a strong linebacker room, and we have the potential to have one of the top-ranked defensive lines in all of football when healthy. Go into the offseason, pick up a couple pieces. Obviously, stay away from the Marcus Davenports of the NFL. That was more of a give the guy a chance, and unfortunately, he couldn't stay healthy. So our defense should be better next year, theoretically, and Kelvin Sheppard should be able to flourish with the seasoning that he's had, maintaining both the familiarity of the organization, the scheme, and the players. He should be able to thrive and have a very successful multiple seasons for Detroit on his way to potential being, another name. And this is something that we have to become conscious of, something we have to get used to, something that us here in Detroit are not accustomed to. And that is our coaching staff getting jobs elsewhere. This is what happens when you're a successful organization. It's something that we have to understand and kind of come to terms with, which is something that we will do. That being said, we do have very big shoes to fill. Benedict Arnold Johnson was an offensive mastermind here in Detroit. If that pans out in Chicago, we'll see. I'm going to hope not. So that then opens up the question opens the door for the question of who is likely to be the replacement for Benedict Arnold Johnson. Hank Fraley comes to mind, our offensive line coach. He's been interviewing for offensive coordinator jobs around the league. Dan Campbell, though, I guess not feeling that he is of the chops yet, has been maintains his role as offensive line coach, but promoted to run game coordinator. Now, what does that mean for Scotty Montgomery, our running backs coach? Well, he's been promoted to assistant head coach, which is a nice thing. I kind of thought that of the people we had on staff, and this was before Antoine Randall L went to Chicago, I figured that the short list was going to be Antoine Randall L, Scotty Montgomery, and Mark Brunell. Evidently, Dan Campbell has been hinting at and talking about not making an internal hire, more of an internal hire adjacent, with the hot name we're going to read about here from the New York Times, The Athletic. And so obviously Randall L went to Chicago. Mark Brunell is probably, I don't know if he doesn't have it or if he is just more comfortable being Jared Goff's, basically personal head quarterbacks coach. Obviously, JT Barrett has left the organization to go to Chicago to become the quarterbacks coach there, so there's a role to fill there. Maybe we look at a David Blau. And then Scotty Montgomery now as an assistant head coach. We're looking to kind of do a Deuce Staley type situation with him if you look at the roles similar. I really like Scotty Montgomery, and clearly he has been that piece that we needed to fully unlock. Now, it could be the personnel as well as the development of the offensive line, and maybe it was Ben Johnson's play calling. But Scotty Montgomery has been the piece to unlock our running backs room once we got rid of Swift and Jay Willie and brought in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Scotty Montgomery has been a key component in their development. So I kind of thought that would be the way to go, but it looks like we're going to be going with an outside hire, right? And this actually last night, so to be honest with you guys, Hatton Boobs does a lot of my, not research for me, but she ends up, she'll text me all day because she gets updates. She kind of lets me know what's going on with the Lions if I'm not necessarily at my phone or whatever, but we're sitting there last night, I'm playing a game of Civ, and she says, oh, it looks like the Lions are going to be hiring their new offensive coordinator. I said, who's that? And she goes, this guy, John Morton. Now, when I first heard her say John Morton, and I, being a child born in 1988, was exposed to the Lions at a very early age, and one of those individuals being the wide receiver who played opposite Herman Moore for the Lions for a while, and then ended up going to Kansas City, Johnny Morton. I was like, oh, Johnny Morton? And she says, no, John Morton. And I said, well, I have no idea who that is. So she shows me a picture of this overweight white guy, and I was like, well, that is clearly not Johnny Morton, the former wide receiver. But John Morton looks like he's going to be coming in as our offensive coordinator. I think he's the quarterbacks coach or passing game coordinator for the Denver Broncos under Sean Payton. So you again see that Sean Payton coaching tree. Now, John Morton did spend time in Detroit, I think in 2022, before he went to join Sean Payton's staff over in Denver. He clearly was able to develop what was left to polish off of Bo Nix, the 44-year-old rookie sensation. I'm not hating on Bo Nix. I just, we're finally going to get through the years of the COVID kids where we've got 26-year-old rookies playing in the NFL because of the opt-out year, right? So Bo Nix, he was able to do a good job with Bo Nix, and it also keeps in line that whole Sean Payton coaching tree. Dan Campbell comes from the Sean Payton system, the Sean Payton coaching tree. Or is he the Bill Parcells coaching tree? That's a good question. Maybe something we should investigate in a future video. So here we go. Coming to us from the New York Times, Lions, Dan Campbell tabs, Broncos assistant, John Morton as offensive coordinator. Source by Diana Rossini, Colton Pouncey, and RJ Kraft. Give a shout out to those guys. The Detroit Lions are moving forward, filling their offensive coordinator vacancy with Denver Broncos pass game coordinator John Morton, a league source said. Coach Dan Campbell has been looking to fill both his coordinator openings following the departure of Benedict Arnold-Johnson and Aaron Glenn to the Chicago Bears and New York Jets, respectively, as their new head coaches. Detroit is set to promote linebackers coach Kelvin Sheppard to defensive coordinator. We just read an article about that. Morton has previous experience as an OC with the New York Jets in 2017 as part of the 21-year coaching experience as an offensive assistant and positions coach. His career included stops with the Las Vegas Oakland Raiders from 98 to 04 and then 19 to 21, the New Orleans Aints in 06 and then 15 to 16, the Niners, and the Lions. He was also offensive coordinator for 2 seasons at the University of South Carolina during a 4-year stint at the school. Familiarity with the Lions system was something Campbell cited as an important factor when it came to replacing Benedict Arnold Johnson as the team's offensive coordinator, and Morton brings that from his season with Detroit. I think more so his time spent with Sean Payton. Campbell wanted to keep as much of the team's offensive system in place, given quarterback Jared Goff's success with Detroit. JG16 posted career best numbers in completion percentage, 72.4, touchdowns with 37, and a QBR of 111.8 en route to his second Pro Bowl season in the last 3 years. This Detroit Lions offense ranked first in points, second in total yards per game, passing yards per game, and sixth in rushing yards per game, as well as sixth in average rush attempts. Finally, this isn't finally. There's more. Oh, okay, there is much more. What Morton brings to Detroit. The Lions could have gone with an internal option to replace Johnson, which is what I think they should have done, but opted to bring in an outside voice who's familiar with the coaching staff and roster in Morton. Morton, a longtime offensive coach who spent time at the collegiate and NFL levels, has ties to Campbell. The two crossed paths in New Orleans in 2016, where Morton coached wide receivers and Campbell coached tight ends. Morton spent the 2022 season with the Lions as an offensive assistant, so he knows the core players, the roster, the offense in place, and what Campbell wants things to look like. He had a hand in shaping it back then. And so did Anthony Lynn, and we see how far that got him. John Morton, man, Johnny's a superstar now, and there's a number of things that he did for us last year that are things that we kept, Campbell said in 2023 season. This would be Morton's first time as an offensive coordinator either. He was the Jets' OC under Todd Bowles, tasked with leading an offense quarterback by Josh McCown. Running back Bilal Powell and a 32-year-old Matt Forte as the leading rushers. Matt Forte was so sweet back in the day. Morton left the Lions in 2023 to join Sean Payton's staff at the Broncos. He spent the past season working with the 95-year-old rookie Bo Nix. Morton is clearly a coach that Campbell trusts. Otherwise, he would have simply hired from within. Here's what Campbell said last week when asked about replacing Benedict Arnold Johnson and what he's looking for. Quote, I'm going to be involved no matter what because I think that's what's best for our offense, but also Goff, Campbell said. This is the setup for Goff to have success with our playmakers, St. Brown, our running backs, the O-line, the whole deal, J-Mo. And so I want to keep it in place. I want to keep our terminology in place. And I want to make sure that Goff is comfortable because he plays at a high level. That is true. He does play at a high level. For a CEO, leader of men type style of coaching style, Dan Campbell, one of the challenges often faced with a staff turnover, particularly on offense. Teams are always looking for the next young, bright offensive mind. The Lions are looking for a coordinator who might be there long term. Morton, if successful, could potentially fit that description. He's 55 and has been around the block. He's an Auburn Hills native, Michigan native, and played at Western. Go Broncos. So perhaps those local ties would entice him to stay around. And if things don't work out, Campbell has shown a good feel for making a necessary change. Again, Anthony Lynn. Expect him to work with the passing game coordinator Tanner Estrand, whom Morton helped develop in 22. Eggstrand. Offensive line coach Hank Fraley, assistant head coach, running backs coach Scotty Montgomery, quarterbacks coach Mark Brunell, and even Campbell in an effort to keep the Lions' offense elite, which, a couple pieces and our offense just keeps on clicking. We need to address that interior offensive line a little bit. Need to bolster the guard play, even though Christian Mahogany should be better. Zeitler, who knows if he's going to retire or return, and Graham Glasgow took a massive step back. Obviously, Frank Ragnow is the perennial All-Pro, and then you got our two tackles, the future Hall of Famer and Penei Sewell, and just announced today or late last night, Taylor Decker he got a Pro Bowl nod filling in for players opting out. So he was not a top choice, but still, a Pro Bowl's a Pro Bowl for what it's worth. It's not what it once was, but all right, guys, that's going to be it for me. I hope you enjoyed it. This is kind of rambling, and I know the setup's a little bit differently, so let me know what you guys think down below. Feel free to comment, subscribe, share, all that stuff. Only one upload today because, again, without OBS, now I got to figure out what I'm going to do on trying to dual upload. See, I got to restructure my schedule. Tell you what, though, last week was brutal with the Lions loss, and then work was just kicking my ass. I appreciate you guys still hanging out with me and rocking with me. So hopefully we can lock in for the off season. You guys know I love to do mock drafts. Yeah, so that's gonna be it. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Stay out of trouble. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Enjoy the little bit of a warm up that we're having because February is about to be pretty brutal as far as the weather patterns are concerned from everything all the meteorologists that I follow have been talking about. So stay warm out there, guys. Have a good rest of your day. Shout out to Uncle Danny. Dude, I didn't know that you are such a big fan, dude. And, I'm going to be honest, bro, it tickles me pink when you comment on my videos. But Hat and Boob said that, you guys are they were at the baby shower, and they're kind of getting on her about me not uploading, about how, Uncle Danny needs his hat and beard. So here we go. Appreciate you, everybody, sticking around. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Bonga bonga. Frig off.